I think when we were little, like we lived here in Norco, California, and my parents had a little place, and we had friends where my parents used to have some friends that rode horses, and they roped together, and their older son got into dirt bikes, and they had like one of the little three-wheeler ATC Hondas or whatever, and me and my brother always thought those were pretty cool. And we told our parents, we wanted to get a go-kart or a mini bike. We were trying to get them to get us one. And so we were at our grandparents' house. I think it was before Christmas or our birthday or something like that. And we were at our grandparents' house, and they said, hey, we want you, and back then, you got the phone with the cord, and they stretched the cord out of the house. And they said, hey, check this out. We got something for you. And so we were both on a phone. We're like, what? And they said, listen. And so, brum, brum. And I'm like, oh, no, we got a new lawnmower. That sucks. But it was they bought a Honda 90 step through and just a little trail bike, and me and my brother shared it. And we had a horse corral at our parents' house where we could ride it around. So we used to just burn lap after lap after lap after lap, take turns, then he rides, and so that's how we got started. When you're young, you sort of have a few of them, but there was always, for me, the guys that I really kind of idolized as I was a kid because they were older and they were already successful, and that was probably Mitch Mays and AC Backen. Everybody idolized Malcolm, just because he was Malcolm in the movie and stuff like that, so that was pretty cool. And actually, I rode a Hodaka, and I had Bob Rutten was kind of like a idol because he was like this, expert desert racer guy, and he was a Hodaka guy, and that was pretty cool. And met Larry Rossler when he was young, but those are kind of the guys, and they were older than I was, so you always look up. But I would say probably the two biggest would probably be Mitch Mays and AC Backen. No, we just used to go to the desert, and ride on the weekends, and so we had my parents, we used to have one of those smuggler trailers. Remember those where you open the back doors and you fold the floor up, and then your bikes go inside, and then you get out there and you fold the floor back down, and it's like a trailer. So we used to go out to Lucerne Valley and camp at Soggy Dry Lake and ride around all weekend and camp and do that. And then we were out there one time, and there was I think it was a District 37 race, and we rode over to the finish line, saw these guys going. They're going so fast, I couldn't believe it. So then we started we decided we wanted to do something, so we did family enduros. We did family enduros, just doing it as a family, still just real chill. And then we did that, and then that turned into wanting to race. And then some of my friends raced motocross, so I wanted to try that, but that was a little bit different, and my parents were like, no, we're going to do the desert thing so we can all do it together, which was cool, So then we got into the desert racing thing, and I just kept with it until I got hurt, actually. I think I was 16. I was 16 at the time. And I think it was the day that I got hurt was the day before my 17th birthday or whatever. So there was a race out of California City, and it was a timed event, kind of like an enduro start, but by speed. So we were figuring, you might be able to win the overall, and I rode a 125. So if you could get a good start and you could get through some dust, and depending on what happens, it's a lot better chance of maybe winning the overall than say a mass start. So, and I wasn't really trying to, but there was a possibility, in your head just a little bit. And they had this hill that they said no one had ridden down, and they put it in the riders' meeting, a little sheet and all that stuff, that you're not gonna be able to ride down this hill, no one's ridden down it. And I was out there that weekend, and I had hung around all week with Larry Rossler, and we were actually going to go the very next week, and I was going to go with Larry, and we were going to ride this race in Colorado together, a team race. I think it was an 8-hour race in Grand Junction or something. So, I felt like I was going to do good or whatever, and we talked about that hill, and he's like, I'm not going to walk it down that hill. And I'm like, I know, it can't be that bad. So, and I got to it and started down it, and it was really steep. And I fell down a couple times, and then the last time I kind of got up and was going down it and caught a rock. And I remember I put my feet out thinking I was going to balance or something. And then the foot was off the rear brake, and you're going really fast. And I clamped the front, And the problem was that there was no run out at the bottom of the hill that came down, and there was a fire road. So like it came down, and the fire road was right here, and it just, there's on the other side, it's, you know, a big embankment, and then down past that was like a little cliff going off of that. So I came down and just hit the other side, and I remember just going, ugh, you know, like out of breath, and there I went, and then I woke up and hurt. So that's what I remember about it.
What were you riding?
I rode a Husky 125. Yep. It's a long time ago. I didn't ride no more. No, it. You know, you're bummed, of course. You know, it's nothing you wish for anyone. You know, like I wouldn't wish it on probably the person I hate the most. You know, like that's just not cool. It's a tough injury, you know, and stuff, and it's nothing fun, you know. But you have to kind of decide where you're going to be with it, you know. And obviously, I really thought that, you know, like I could make it back from that and walk or whatever and be able to race again, because I'd been hurt a few times before, and you know, it's just an injury, and you know, 6 or 8 weeks and you're healed and away you go. But this one was quite a bit different, obviously, and the doctors told me it was, and so my outlook on it is like, no, I'm going to try to keep positive, and I'm going to try to make it, and I'm going to do this thing, and that was my opinion about it. And then after you get out of the hospital, you know, you get home and you're like, man, what am I going to do? You know, like, what am I going to do? So, and you go through the sad parts, you know, like where you're sorry for yourself or whatever, and bummed or whatever. But, you know, I had probably a lot of good friends and stuff like that, and my parents were really cool, my brother and stuff, and you know, like realized that if I wanted to be involved in what I liked, which was I still liked motorcycles, and if I wanted to be around it, then you better go get into it, you know, and be around it, and be with people that you have something in common with. So we looked around, or I wanted to maybe think about getting a dealership, a motorcycle shop. And the Husky shop that I used to ride for changed hands a couple times, and they weren't making money, and they wanted to sell it. And we looked at it, we talked to the guy, and I think it was November '78. I was 18 years old, and we bought Anaheim. It was called AAA Cycle, and we called it Anaheim Husqvarna then. Yep.
Now, that was your start, Anaheim.
Anaheim Husqvarna. Yep.
And how did you come up with the name? That might be jumping ahead a bit, but how did you come up with the name Pro Circuit?
You know, it's a little bit, you know, like one of those things. I don't know. It's a little foggy,